This is amazing. Kind of like the best flavors of a strawberry shortcake, but like condensed into one. Today I'm gonna make a strawberry floating island, a recipe from a 1963 edition of Better Homes and Gardens Cookbook. Then I'm gonna do my interpretation of the same recipe and try them both and see what I think. Let's get started. I'm really intrigued about this recipe for the strawberry floating island. Basically, I'm gonna make poached meringues, which are gonna kind of like float in custard. Doesn't sound that hard, but I've never made anything like this, so let's see. We start out by beating egg whites with a dash of salt until soft peaks form. Salt just acts as a binding agent to help the meringue kind of get some lift. I'm a big fan of meringue. It's like super easy to make. Just take egg whites, sugar, and that's it. These kind of look like soft peaks. I think we're good to add the sugar. There we go. Okay, so stiff peaks when they stay upright. You can also like hang them over your head, and if they don't drop, you're good. The next step, it says to add the milk to a pan and simmer it. I've never poached meringue in milk before, and I'm really curious to see how that's gonna turn out. The milk is starting to simmer, so let's see. Drop meringue in. So strange, okay. Fascinating. Just gonna turn the heat down, and it says cook slowly, uncovered until firm, about 5 minutes. One thing that does feel really exciting about this dessert is that it's no bake, which I think is always good news. And that kind of like plays into this idea of what was going on in the 50s, like put in the least amount of effort as possible for the most like exciting thing you can get. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. Let's see. I'm really surprised it actually is like, it is firm. So the recipe says just to lift from the milk and let them drain on a paper towel. Wow, this is so cool. Now I just need to let my poached meringue drain and make the custard. The whole point of this dessert is that the poached meringue is gonna float on custard. So now it's time to make the custard. I'm gonna add 3 eggs. And wash my hands. And the egg yolks. Whoop. And then you just beat to combine. Next it says to add the sugar. And again, a dash of salt. And then I'm gonna stir in the milk. And this is the same milk that I used to poach the meringue. And it's still a bit warm from the poaching of the meringue, which is exactly what you want. You want the milk to be warm but not hot so that the custard will come together quickly. If it's too hot, it's gonna curdle the eggs, and then you'll have like scrambled egg custard, which is definitely not what you want. And it says cook over hot, not boiling water, and cook until the mixture coats the back of a spoon. You don't have to make custard over a double boiler, but it's a really good way to ensure that the custard isn't going to curdle. Again, the eggs aren't gonna scramble. It kind of cooks it more gently than if you were just doing it like straight into the pot. So I've been stirring this for about 7-8 minutes, which is usually the point at that custard starts to thicken. So it says remove from the heat and then add the vanilla. I'm gonna pop the custard into the fridge to chill it for a little bit and then assemble everything. Despite that the custard took a few minutes to come together, this whole thing is actually like pretty fast. I'm really into this recipe. I thought it'd be kind of like fun and retro to do martini glasses. To hollow strawberry, take your paring knife and go to the stem and the leaf, and you just take it all the way around. Pops right off. Add the strawberries to the cups, top with custard and meringue. Pretty easy. It's really cool looking. This looks so fun and festive to me. I love how like showstoppery it is. It looks, you know, it looks so unique. We don't really serve dessert like this these days, and I think we're missing out. Oh my God, it's amazing. This is amazing. Kind of like the best flavors of a strawberry shortcake, but like condensed into one. The meringue kind of tastes like a marshmallow. It's like so light and airy. The custard is so silky. This is delicious. I think you could actually like do some other flavor combinations, maybe some different fruit. I'll definitely be making this again. 10 out of 10. This is such an incredible dish. I really like whatever I come up with, I want it to really, pay homage to this in such a good way. I feel like there's two ways to go, either custard or meringue. Something with custard, I mean, there could be like a custard fruit tart. Love that. There could be something like grown-up pudding cups. Could be kind of fun, maybe a salted caramel situation. Or if I go the meringue route, something like pavlova, that's one of my go-to desserts for a lot of the same reasons as this. It actually comes together quickly, it looks really beautiful, people are always impressed by it. You get the creamy elements and the fruity elements. I feel like I'm gonna go pavlova. That feels like the most exciting to me. But honestly, this is gonna be hard to beat. For my pavlova, I'm gonna start very similarly to the last recipe by making a meringue. So first you have to beat room temperature egg whites. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt, again as a binder, and then also some cream of tartar, which is gonna help get those really beautiful stiff peaks. Room temperature egg whites are really crucial so that the egg whites have a lot of air and lift and can get nice and soft and pillowy. Perfect. Okay, so just like last time, I'm gonna add the sugar gradually. The reason we're doing this is just so it has time to get fully incorporated and get that lift and have the sugar actually dissolve in there. So when the meringue's ready, you should have stiff peaks, but it should also look really glossy. Like that. You can kind of see this really pretty shine on it. So unlike the last recipe, I'm gonna bake this meringue, which takes a lot longer than poaching it. You can make a stencil if that's easier, but you can also just kind of like eyeball it. And you can make it with one layer or with two, up to you. I think it looks like a little more exciting with 2 layers. You can just kind of gently smooth it into a circle. In terms of thickness, it doesn't really matter how thick you go. You can make it like a few inches tall, or you can make them really thin. Both meringues are gonna get covered with whipped cream and fruit, so you don't have to be too precious about how it looks. I just want them to be kind of even in size so that they can stack easily. I'm gonna pop these in the oven. They're gonna go low and slow, like 250 for 2 hours. It's gonna have this really kind of like crisp outside, and the inside should be like light and chewy and kind of like a marshmallow. I'm gonna make a lemon curd for my pavlova, which isn't necessarily traditional. It doesn't require a curd, but I just think it's nice to have that like really citrusy element to kind of cut through the sweetness of the meringue. You could also make lime, grapefruit, orange, whatever kind you want. So lemon juice, 3 eggs, 2 egg yolks, salt, sugar, and some lemon zest, which just adds that like extra lemony flavor. And I just want to kind of warm this mixture. I don't want to boil it, I don't want to curdle it. I'm just, whisking it until it's smooth. Just want it to kind of come together, and I want the mixture to kind of warm up. You can just use your finger to test that. Yep, perfect. As soon as it's warm, you can start adding cold butter, and you just stir until the butter gets fully incorporated. So the lemon curd has started to thicken, and you can really feel like a resistance when you're stirring. You don't want it to get too thick because as it chills, it's going to naturally thicken. So you just want a little resistance, kind of like the custard in the last recipe. This is totally optional, but I like to strain my lemon curd, and it'll make it like really silky smooth. I'm just gonna pop this in the fridge to chill, and then I think it's about time to assemble everything. So I took my meringue out of the oven, it's cool. It should sound hollow and feel firm to the touch. Before I assemble everything, I just want to make my whipped cream. Whipped cream is pretty classic in pavlova. Just gonna add in my powdered sugar. I like using powdered sugar over granulated for whipped cream, just because it's more easily incorporated. So I'm gonna add a layer of my lemon curd, which is now chilled, kind of jiggly, and you can see that the consistency really firmed up. One of the reasons I really love pavlova is because it's inherently pretty rustic. Like, you really don't have to be precious about it. Whipped cream on top of this. You can add however much or little looks good to you. You can see this top layer got a little crack in it, but because it's gonna get covered with curd and whipped cream and fruit, it really doesn't matter. In terms of decorating, there's really no right or wrong way to go. I like this real look of abundance, so I like to go kind of crazy, but it's totally up to you. I mean, you can tell, you can kind of just keep decorating till your heart's content, but that looks pretty bountiful. I think I'm gonna stop there. It's taste test time. All of these retro recipes, the real hook of them is that they look amazing. They look big and bold and beautiful, but I have to say, this one actually looks just as exciting, if not more. I feel like this is such a gift. If someone comes in with a pavlova, it's this is, we're having a party. Cutting into this, there's no real good way to do it. It's all just kind of gonna ooze and collapse a little. Wow. I've made this so many times and it's exciting every time. I mean, I love the layer of the meringue. You can kind of see that spongy inside, the whipped cream, the curd. This is truly a comically big bite. Let's see. I don't know what to say. It's perfect. It's a perfect dessert. I mean, the exterior of the meringue is just crispy. The interior feels like a cloud, like a marshmallow cloud. I love the acidity from the lemon curd. The whipped cream kind of brings it all together. The strawberry floating island and the pavlova are both amazing desserts that highlight meringue. I think the strawberry floating island is great if you're short on time. It comes together quickly. It's beautiful. I love the flavors of strawberries and cream. And if you have a little more time, try a pavlova. You can see it's actually pretty easy to make. It just, takes a few hours. Let me know in the comments if you've ever made meringue before and which dessert you would try.